Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 264 for February 14th, 2018. And for those of you who don't get out very much, or maybe you're incarcerated, it's Valentine's Day.
Maybe you're incarcerated.
And, actually, if you're incarcerated, maybe you have a Valentine to hold close to your heart.
Oh, man.
I'm not implying anything here. I'm just saying love is everywhere, okay? So happy Valentine's Day. This is, my name is Russell Frost. I have the good fortune to host the show this evening. And with me, two of my very favorite Valentines. I love them both. Let's introduce them one by one. My man from Canada, who has 10 Olympic medals so far. I just learned right before the show. Go Canada, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello. I do not have the medals on me, but I'll bring them for next show. So.
Do you guys all share them? Like all Canadians just get to
That's right. They get mailed around after we win them. Yes.
I can pass around thing. I get that. That is in my head. That is why it's cool to be Canadian. That and Sarah McLachlan and Bare Naked Ladies, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't. Oh, Unibrew. Sorry. Unibrew. Oh, man. I had the best bottle of Fin du Monde last night. I miss that stuff. Anyway, and my other friend, he in fact hails somewhat from Canada, but we like to think of him as the man from Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado. I call him Paul Guzik.
Hey, everybody out there in Valentine Land. Hopefully you're having a swell evening.
Absolutely.
And if you're listening to this show on Valentine's Day, get a life.
Exactly. And speaking of get a life, for those of you...
Or get a significant other.
Get a significant other, yeah. For those of you who complained, and I'm so glad you watched the show, okay? I'm just glad you watched the show. But for those of you who complained about my lighting last week, okay?
He's gonna fluctuate for the entire show.
I just want you to know, I did this for you. I did this for you, okay? Now look at me. I'm evenly lit everywhere.
Did you have a lighting consultant, Russell?
Oh, that hurts. I am a lighting consultant, homeboy, okay? Just look at the lighting here. That is, that's one side. And that's the other.
Wow.
That's the other. So,
Crazy.
Look at that.
Some serious lumens.
I am pumping 2,600 lumens right at my face, but beautifully used.
Russell will be a lobster for the next 3 episodes.
LED light bulbs, baby. LED light bulbs. I think I'm consuming like 15.
And just a shout out to the chat room. Our binary friend 0101 has indicated that we've probably lost the jail audience tonight's show.
I love him for that. That's beautiful. I'm my apologies, incarcerated people of America and the world. We care about you, and we want you to have a good Valentine's Day. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about our YouTube channel. YouTube.com/whatdrivesus. I want you to please, if you haven't already, go to that channel, hit the subscribe button, and do us one more. Do me, whatever, us, them. Maybe you like Paul better than I am because I'm not super likable. But Paul's a nice guy. Okay, so do it for Paul. Post it on your Facebook page. Post it on Twitter. Suggest it to some friends that they go to youtube.com/whatdrivesus and subscribe to the page. It definitely helps the show, and we want that little boost, and we need it from you. We know we have people out there watching, and we thank you. And the reason I mentioned that today is in the last 72 hours, I've posted no less than 8 new reviews. Interesting vehicles like the 2018 Genesis G80 Sport, like the Lexus GS450H, and the long-awaited Lexus LC500H driving review. That is 14 minutes of me driving a 155-mile-an-hour hybrid car. I'm not saying I went 155 miles an hour. I'm just saying it can go 155 miles an hour. It was an amazing car to drive, and if you watch the review, you get just a little bit of that amazing. It kind of rubs off on you. It's mind blowing. So once again, youtube.com/what drives us. Please, I'm saying please go there, subscribe, suggest it to some friends. All of us here, Mark and Paul, would definitely appreciate it. And of course I would appreciate it. So thank you. And 0101, thank you for the laughs in the chat room. That was beautiful, dude. First news story of the night comes from Bloomberg, and it is one of my favorite companies. I have ranted on this show. Well, it's pretty much all I do is rant many times about Uber. And apparently, maybe not you guys out there, but apparently lots of people still using Uber. Why? Use Lyft, okay? They're slightly less evil. Actually, they're a lot less evil. Bloomberg reported that Uber's quarterly sales rose 61%, and their losses grew similarly. Their total fares were, let's see, 61%, $2.2 billion from the same period. Uber lost $4.5 billion.
Just a slight miss.
$4.5 billion. As it
kind of like Tesla sales, right?
I ain't going there. You got numbers.
It's a different show. Sorry.
That's a different. No, I have nothing to fear in that sense. I'm just saying. Tonight I'm ripping Travis Kalanick and his horrible company Uber. Here's the deal, kids. And again, it wasn't me. I stole this from somebody way smarter than I am. But keep in mind that your subsidized, your venture capitalist subsidized Uber rides are only good until Uber manages to shut down the competition. And then your cheap ride sharing app is going to screw you to the wall, because that's what Uber has done everywhere they can. They don't pay attention to the laws or regulations. They do whatever they want. And they're losing money like crazy because guess what? The business model doesn't really work. Okay? This isn't like Amazon. Well, maybe it's a little bit like Amazon. Is when you put enough other people out of business, then you can raise your prices and make money. Yay.
Bingo.
Yay.
Bingo.
I love the idea of ride-sharing apps. I love the idea that that it's caused a conversation for us to relook at taxis. I love the idea that so many people of younger generations than mine don't drink and drive at all anymore because they've got a phone and they just get on there and they call somebody to pick them up. And that is brilliant and that's priceless. But let's not forget that this is not a company we should be supporting with our money, and they're losing a ton of money. This is a fake thing. Don't use Uber. That's all I got. You guys are. I'm
use Uber. It's counterport.
If you can't get a lift, use Uber.
Yeah, Gene, you completely ignorant slut.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know what? If you're stuck and you can't get a ride, but use Uber. I don't want you to walk. I don't want you to get hurt. But you have a choice. Make a good choice.
And it's interesting, though, that you said that their revenues jumped that much. And, of course, since they're being subsidized on everything, the loss went up in that same range as well. So they're not gaining anything, really, except, possibly market share. And with market share comes, like you had mentioned, that they can eventually buy in or shut down the other competitors and then raise the price. So that's how long will it go on, I guess, is the question. How long can they stay subsidized and keep this type of a service going? Is it going to be an Amazon thing where they'll be around for over a decade? Like I don't know where the end is.
I don't think Amazon made money for the first many years,
oh,
right?
God.
Oh, yeah. Forever.
Yeah. Legendarily lost money. No, apparently the SoftBank Group Corp, this is a Japanese firm, dumped $9.3 billion into Uber last year. to make itself the largest shareholder.
Wow.
Which is staggering to me. But again, this is, yeah, just don't use Uber. That's all. That's the best thing you can do. Don't use Lyft. And Lyft, maybe you could sponsor the show. Okay, how's that?
or good old fashioned yellow cabs. They're getting friendlier now that they have competition.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the cab companies are offering some kind of apps now. Yeah, I'm not asking people to spend more money or inconvenience themselves. All I'm asking them to do is to consider the moral implications of your decisions and act accordingly. Well, I'm not going to beat that up anymore. I think Mark has a story that doesn't involve me renting.
Well, we never really know, but you could jump into a rant. We never really, that's not completely outside of the realm of reality. But
he is charged.
We got an interesting story that came up today from our friends at Fleet Karma in Waterloo, Ontario, very close to where I am currently. And they, over 2017, collected the data, put it together, and came up with what's happening with EVs in Canada as a whole. And apparently, Canadians are buying EVs in mass amounts. So we've had a 68% increase year over year Canada-wide in 2017. And in the province I'm in, Ontario, we've had 120% uptick in purchase of EVs, including both plug-in and straight battery vehicles. And we're sitting at about 48,000 vehicles on the road currently today.
Wow. And
our neighbors to the east, Quebec, they have exceeded 2% of all passenger vehicles are now EVs purchased in their province. So those are some pretty impressive numbers that have hit the Canadian provinces.
And are heated seats pretty standard in EVs?
They are pretty well, yes. And heated steering wheels are part of the packages that typically roll out with new car releases here. And we're hoping that the Tesla Model 3 will have that heated steering wheel added to its package soon. Okay. But it's certainly something that the car manufacturers are understanding that the climate is different, and they have to add some of these things in order to keep Canadians alive in their cars. So Fleet Karma has done a great number of graphs and pictures to indicate what's been going on.
And would it be safe to say, Mark, it's incentives and the fact that gas is what, $4 or $5 a gallon in Canada?
Yeah, that is the two big things here. Is that we have expensive gas, and the provinces of Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia all have good amounts of incentives. Ontario's the best, I would say. Quebec is second, and BC would be the third. And of course, that's where all the sales are. Yeah. So it makes complete sense that these incentives are definitely working, and that the price of gas is another easy push for people to say, yeah, I should look at an EV as opposed to getting a gas vehicle next time. So if you have a chance, click on the link and take a look at the graphs and
quite
information.
A bit of cool charts and graphs in the story here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like math. Oh, I'm sorry.
So there's a chart of the three provinces with the most sales, and you can see that for the first time ever, Ontario has taken the lead over Quebec, who was traditionally the leader to this point.
It's interesting to see the province of Alberta is like 1/5, or no, like way less than
way less. Yes.
And of course, that's the big oil-supported province. So.
Exactly. And then there was another funny tidbit in here. They indicated that Ontario had 120% uptake this year over last year, but they said the leader of that is New Brunswick, which had 124%. But then you look at the numbers, and like in New Brunswick, they sold like 7 cars. So it's like it might have been a great uptick, but the volume certainly is not there to support any of that. So
one family bought 2 volts and
exactly. Yeah, you could really make a difference in New Brunswick if you happen to be there. Buy one, and that's a 25% uptick over last year. So
that's beautiful. You know what? So, but cheers to Canada for except for those bastards in British Columbia who are lagging behind. Oh, wait, I just lost a Canadian problem. But I mean, cheers to Canada for doing the right thing and heading in the right direction. I mean, no one's perfect. No one does everything right. But, you know, it's those. Canada has slowly but surely for a long time been making a lot of good moves towards sustainable energy and better vehicles. Cheers to them for that.
Well, and I would say, I think population-wise, British Columbia is probably doing the best because Ontario has way more people, and so does Quebec than BC. And they're 2/3 of the number of cars, but they're certainly more or less than 2/3 of the population.
So my apologies to the not bastards of British Columbia. who are trying hard with a smaller group of people. Thank you. I mean,
there you go.
We got to get Alberta, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island on board. That's what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
Get those other provinces going. Yeah, and certainly the people in Manitoba as well. Not to forget anybody.
Oh,
yeah, boy, Manitoba. They outdid New Brunswick. They sold 31 electric cars.
We got 31 in a year. Fantastic.
Was it like 27 people in Manitoba? I mean,
there's at least 31.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, you know, maybe they got 2 cars, one to drive every other day. It happens. It happens. Well, speaking of northern provinces, the next story is features one of the U.S. northern provinces.
Do you guys have provinces?
Don't question me, okay? Don't question me. Let's put it this way. Given the way Maine has been going, they're a province if I call them one, okay? They elected a complete maniac as governor, and God knows it's amazing things haven't spun down the toilet faster there. Maine, who is trying very hard to be the Kansas of the New England area, is considering right now a bill to impose a transportation fee on hybrids and electric cars. And we've seen this song and dance before. Hybrids use less gas, so they pay less gas tax, and those damn battery electric cars don't use any gas, so they don't pay any gas tax, yet they're burning up the roads. Aside from that utterly stupid and mostly intellectually bankrupt argument, yeah, they don't. Maine has decided to impose a $150 annual fee on hybrid cars and a $250 fee on battery electric cars. Now, just so you have some kind of comparison here, if you drive a gas car in Maine, given their tax rate, you're paying about $130 a year. So why are we charging hybrids more and EVs even more?
Yeah, like that makes no sense whatsoever. That's not fair.
That's pretty much Maine.
So it's like, and it's not like Maine is a big oil state. Like, what has spurred this? Like, that's just if
pickup truck owners are saying these hybrid guys are not contributing to fix the roads enough.
Yeah. Well,
okay, but if something like a regular Prius is allowed on the road to pay $130 a year in tax, why on earth would they not say that a battery electric or a PHEV is at that same rate? Why are they at $250?
Because they're assholes.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to be, and I don't say this with any sarcasm at all, but I mean, like, because I know nothing about Canadian politics, except your prime minister gets a lot of women sweaty. That's all I know about Canadian politics. Okay, lots of women love that Justin Trudeau. So, and he has cute socks or something. I don't know, but the Republican governor of Maine is well nigh insane. He's pretty much, yeah. I mean, like crazy. And obviously the legislature here is just another one of those, the American term for it politically is hippie punching. Anything that upsets you is a good plan. And that's frankly the only thing. I mean, it's going to raise $3 million, this proposal, if it goes through, given the number of vehicles that it would impact. And, you know, is that $3 million the difference between? No, it's about pissing off people who own cars that damn liberals own, you know, even though those of us who are in this know that it isn't just liberals driving hybrids and EVs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for drivers paying a portion to highways departments to maintain the roads, but there's got to be a better system. And I think we've talked in previous shows, you know, the weight of the vehicle and the miles you drive, if they could somehow measure that fairly, and if you drive a big heavy ass truck and drive a lot, you're going to pay more than someone who drives a Honda Insight, you know, because a Honda Insight isn't going to trash the roads as much as a big ass truck. And but how are they going to measure, you know, that every year with every single vehicle in the state?
Well, they could come up with like 5 categories, though, Paul, couldn't they? Like, and just say, okay, there's a pickup category.
Right.
There's a.
Well, it could be based on gross vehicle weight.
Yep.
And then they have to look at your odometer, and people say, I don't want the government looking at my odometer every year. It's none of their business how much I drive.
But even if they put it in the category of the vehicle, it would be better than what they're proposing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I hate mileage taxes. I think it's just needlessly complicated. But you know, we can do math. We're not, I mean, even me, as you know, like, can do math. So if the average gas car owner pays $130 a year, why not just charge EVs and hybrid owners $130 a year?
Yeah.
Who, honestly, like, they might complain, but I don't think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though you're going to screw the hybrid guy because they bought a thing to use less gas and pollute less, and they're already paying some gas tax. I mean, again, there's simple ways to do this.
Colorado has a similar. If your car has a plug on it, it's $50 a year extra registration fee, which is fair because you're not going to buy as much gas if you have an EV or a plug-in hybrid. And I don't have a problem with that. Some people do, but $50 is a reasonable amount because you're certainly going to save more than $50 in gas.
Yeah, I think the point is not to penalize people for buying hybrids and EVs.
Yeah.
That's all. Can you charge them? Can you tax them equally to what to what ICE vehicle owners pay? Absolutely. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm a big jerk and I wouldn't fight that. Well, let's talk. Speaking of hybrids, Paul, I think you have a story about maybe some new hybrids.
Yeah, so there was a story this week on Inside EVs, and Russell will post the link up here. Subaru, who's very popular in Colorado and many states, says they have a plug-in hybrid coming to the U.S. this year, which is surprisingly soon, and a full battery electric in 2021. But reading through the article, how they're going to do it is they're going to borrow some Toyota technology, which is great because Subaru had a a Crosstrek hybrid a couple 3-4 years ago, and it was garbage. It was an awful car, and it was like a $3,000 premium for a car that got 3 more MPG, or just awful technology, awful reliability. And because, for those who don't know, Toyota actually owns about 17% of Subaru already, and they've already partnered on a couple of vehicles in the past, and they sell a lot of components to Subaru. So it's actually smart for Subaru to sort of license or buy or borrow Toyota technology. I don't know if this is true, but they say they're going to keep the traditional Subaru Boxer engine, which would be weird because one part of the story they talk about using the drivetrain from the Prius Prime, but that doesn't use a Boxer engine. That uses a sideways mounted Toyota inline 4.
Yeah.
So if they bolt it up to the Subaru Boxer, that could mean it will be an all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid. I guess we'll wait and see. It's all rumors right now, but it is encouraging because, and part of this party, they also talk about Mazda, who is kind of loosely involved with Toyota, and they're all kind of doing this, what do they call this, platform of...
It's
EV Common Architecture Spirit Company. I don't know.
Company, yes, thank you.
Where it's based mainly Toyota stuff, but they're going to share it with their sort of competitors and standardize on stuff, which will benefit the consumer because these cars will be less expensive for Mazda or Subaru to offer, and more choices for the consumer in the next year or more. So let's hope that this stuff it materializes and see what happens.
So, Paul, you said that the first one comes this year?
That's what it says, which is very soon.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have started working on it a while ago for it to be delivered this year.
Yeah, considering we're in the second month of this new year already.
Exactly.
So.
And, and there was the little rear-wheel drive sports car, the Scion
The
FRS, which is now called the Toyota 86, but the Subaru BRZ, which were essentially the same car, and they jointly developed that car. So it makes sense that they could jointly share hybrid stuff and develop a car. But whether or not we'll see it this year, I don't know. I'd bet against it, but we'll see.
So, Paul, every show I have to ask at least one stupid question, and I don't. What is a Boxer engine? Why is it a Boxer?
Good question. So Subaru is kind of famous for a flat engine. So a normal engine, the pistons go up and down. Boxer engine, they go sideways. So it's a smoother engine because it's balanced, and it's a lower center of gravity. So the most popular or most well-known Boxer engine would be Porsche's. Right. And the old VWs in the old VW Beetle. So they had 2 cylinders going like this, basically, sideways. And people like them in Subarus. Gives them more room in the engine bay to do things, but much lower center of gravity. They do have issues with head gaskets, and that's a different story. But it's kind of their trademark, along with their all-wheel drive, is their Boxer engine.
So, but the heart of Toyota's hybrid system is an Atkinson cycle engine, and I always thought that the point of that was that it turns on and turns off so quickly and so efficiently.
You could still do that with a Boxer engine. What's interesting is the secret sauce in Toyota's hybrid architecture is all in the transmission, really. There's some stuff in the engine, and so to put a transmission behind a Boxer engine, it's completely different than, say, the transmission in a Prius. So who's going to build that part? Is it going to be Toyota or Subaru, or are they going to, who knows? But where if they took the same engine the Prius uses and the same transaxle the Prius uses, dropped it into a Subaru, that would be much, much less work than trying to mate a Synergy drive transmission to a Boxer engine, which has never been done as far as I know.
Huh. Yeah.
And as far as the car show season, is it unusual that that someone would come out with a brand new vehicle partway into the year or deep into the year?
No, I think that happens, various situations. But, like I said, it's a lot of work to design a whole new platform, especially a transaxle like that, that hasn't existed before.
Yeah.
Right.
It's much easier to take a transaxle from a Prius and make it work in a RAV hybrid than to make one that's completely different oriented in the vehicle and different. I don't know. It's a lot of work. So if it appears, I will give them a gold star.
Yeah. And Subaru is a wonderful company.
They have a great reputation.
Yeah.
And people they're very loyal customers. And, I think they're the #1 selling car in Colorado is Subarus, just because of their all-wheel drive marketing.
Right.
And in like Alaska and Maine and Vermont. places where they get a lot of snow.
I've just never really looked at them that closely because they don't make anything hybrid or EV.
Right.
You know, it's all straight ice, and it's okay.
Well, looks like they're about to join that club.
Join the club, folks.
And part of it might, well, actually, one other thing I didn't mention is in the article, it talks about they're going to be selling them in CARB states initially. So Subaru must be getting to the size where they need emissions credits to maintain, you know, their sales. I think that the bigger you are, the more CARB compliant cars, and then you play the emissions games. And so that's probably why they're doing this. Unfortunately, it's not for the benefit of the consumer.
So compliance vehicles.
Yeah.
No, I hope not. I hope they really make it and sell it. But yeah, CARB states.
And I hope it's badass. I hope it's an all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid that gets great mileage, and you know, but we'll see.
Well, and there's a lot of Prius owners that have been begging for an all-wheel drive hybrid. You know, and certainly that would be interesting.
Well, the RAV4 hybrid is not a plug-in, but it's selling like hotcakes in Colorado.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting. Wouldn't it be easier to make it all-wheel drive and use electric motors rather than?
Well, that's the thing. If Subaru was smart, they would use basically the concept of the RAV4 hybrid for the rear drive, use electric motor in the rear, and front drive, you know, through the front transmission, and have no drive shaft and no mechanical connection, which all the Subarus have right now.
And that's exactly what Mitsubishi did with their Outlander. There is no drive shaft.
Right.
They just use the electric motor in the back and an electric motor in the front.
Right. Which is the way to do it if you have electric drive. I mean, Highlander's been doing that in their hybrid since 06. So
interesting.
It's a very smart way to do it.
Thank you once again for that, because I would not have known any of that at all. Speaking of things I didn't know about until just now, well, maybe not just now, but these guys, you guys may have heard of them. There's this little company in Europe called BMW. And oddly enough, they've been pretty aggressive in some ways of making with their i3 and their i8. Turns out that the BMW CEO says that, let's stop that there, says that their M series, maybe, I don't, certainly not number wise, isn't their biggest seller, but I mean, everybody, that's the car, you know what I mean? Like that's their high end,
that's the flagship,
high speed flagship, fastest, that, yeah, guess what? They're going to make a pure electric M, and sooner than that, they're going to have a hybrid M. Now, I don't know if the M customer wants a hybrid or a pure electric. Frankly, I don't care. I'm just glad to see BMW going the right direction with this. And obviously, a pure electric M would, you know, could potentially tear things up. There's this little American company that makes fast electric cars. I hear they're doing really well. So,
well, and if you implement a hybrid in a certain way, you can really make it a high performance car. You know, you can use the hybrid system, the electric portion, as a turbocharger for the gas part of the car. So when you put your foot in your BMW, it will accelerate faster than a gas car with a turbo, for example. So, they might lose some customers because they think it's green and hybrid and they want a real man's car, performance car, but if they do it right and that driver gets in and drives the car, they might be very impressed.
Wow.
The torque. So.
Wow. And I think that might be it for tonight, because my final story won't load. So I'm going to put that off until next week.
Technical difficulties stopped the last story.
I ran into the Wall Street Journal paywall, interestingly enough, and I don't have the deets in my head, so I'm not going to talk about that story. You know what? I do want to ask you one thing on the air while we're here, just because I just finished the review on the Lexus LC500H. Are you at all familiar with that car?
A little bit.
I've seen a picture of it. Never driven it.
Okay. I mean, they have they've done what they call a multi-stage hybrid system, which I fully don't get, but it's basically the Lexus hybrid system with MG1, MG2, the planetary gears, and then, as I understand it, and I use this verb very loosely. They slapped a 4-speed automatic on the back end of it, and somehow that and the CVT gives it 10 actual gears that shift very, very quickly. Do you know anything about that? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Paul.
Yeah, no, I have not studied the engineering on that, but I mean, I can see how you could get a lot more gears putting a 4-speed automatic behind it, but
because I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, it just seems weird. I guess it's a performance thing because there's really no other reason to do it. But that is a performance car, so
it's strictly a performance car. Yeah,
right.
I mean, I did get 43 mpg in the car one day.
Wow.
But the other days you got 5.
Other days I got literally 7 to 9. So do watch that.
Well, one thing I wish the law would be in this land is that all cars had to give you real-time MPGs and average MPGs.
Oh.
Because like you said, driving the Genesis, you're like, oh my God, this thing is 12 MPG most of the time or whatever, you know. And if every single person had that on their car, the next time they went to buy a car, they'd say, geez, you know, I don't want to buy a car that's averaging 14 MPG again. And, you know, Prius people have had it forever, and that feedback makes you a better, more efficient driver.
It absolutely does. It makes you part of that game that you want to be.
Why
better.
they just don't legislate that, you know, to
because the car lobbyists are fighting it.
Yeah, that's why.
I mean,
nobody
at Land Rover or, you know, nobody who makes any of the big, huge SUVs wants that.
Right.
You know, right now I'm getting 4 MPG. No one, you know, but no, I agree, Paul, totally. And it's that feedback, that driver information is super important to developing an awareness that that stuff in your gas tank doesn't just evaporate magically, that you actually burn it and use it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
There's nothing like talking to a new Prius driver who's driven traditional cars all their life, and they go, I can't believe it. I put $20 in the car and it went for 3 weeks. Like that, just you know,
sure.
It totally wakes them up.
Sure.
Or when I tell somebody that I've driven 19,000 kilometers on one tank of fuel, they look at me like I'm crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy's obviously nuts because he just said he almost drove 20,000 kilometers on a tank of fuel.
Yeah.
But the Volt and other plugins all have that information on screen, and you know how far you can drive, and it's a shock, like Paul said, when you start to actually examine it and say, "Man, I'm going to fill up maybe twice in a year. That's it."
Yep.
So, I'm driving the Lexus LC 500H. I'm up in the Laguna Mountains in San Diego at about 6,000 feet. And it's windy little roads, really, really twisty, which is exactly why I took the car up there. And I've driven these roads since I was a kid, since I was in high school. And I'm not going slow, but I'm trying to see what the mileage would be in this thing as I'm dropping altitude, right? And I'm getting them in the high 30s, which is really good for that car. But I have like a 5-year-old Honda Pilot riding my back bumper. Literally, like primered hood Honda Pilot on my butt. Like I could see the color of her eyes, the driver. And I'm like, really?
That's when you stomp on the brake and go, didn't you see that rabbit jump out?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm driving a $100,000 car. I want to have somebody with no insurance slam into me. So I'm like, okay, screw it. I'm not going to. And I just jump on the gas. And instantly I go from 37 to 12. You know, and again, that's that slap of reality. Like, go ahead, have fun. Step on the gas. You know, and watch that happen in real time. It's super important. I agree. It should be a law.
Russell, just a question. What are you paying? What are you paying for fuel in your area currently?
$3.30. Yeah, $3.30, $3.50, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here it's around $2.45 for regular.
Wow. From I think Florida's still around $2. Interestingly enough.
But you have to live in Florida to get that.
But you have to live in Florida to get it. Yeah. and there's mosquitoes.
And everybody drives like 30 miles an hour and can't see. Sorry, we just lost Florida.
We lost Florida again.
No, wait. And they all have
we got them so close, Paul, and then you just slapped them back. We almost went 2 full shows without saying anything about Florida.
I know. I'm sorry. And I had to throw a Canada joke in there too, just so we could piss off all the.
Florida's good at launching EVs into space.
Oh, and in the chat room, Jan has said we've also lost AARP.
That might be a show title, kids. Either that, or I guess like we've lost AARP and the prison.
And the prison, yes.
Yes.
Or maybe AARP in prison. It's getting sillier and sillier. Someone else talk.
Yes.
Paul, why don't you do some shout outs?
Sure. I will shout out Colorado, who is, again, talking about doing lots of cool EV charging infrastructure. And my business, Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado. Our website's boulderhc.com. We fix hybrids and EVs and any kind of stuff like that. So if you're anywhere within driving distance or towing distance with AAA, not AARP, although AARP probably has roadside assistance, bring your broken car here and we'll take a look at it.
And Paul will hook you up,
Yep.
Especially if you drop him a 6-pack afterwards.
Oh yeah, I forgot to shout out my beer sponsor. This week it's the local Avery Brewing Company. I think we've had this one on the show before.
Yeah, the White Rascal.
White Rascal.
Yeah.
A little White Devil guy there.
Yeah. White Devil. Well, Mr. Coughlin?
If anyone's in the Toronto area, I wanted to let them know about the large car show that starts this weekend, Friday, and runs for 2 weekends. The Toronto International Car Show, or the Canadian International Car Show. We are going to be on site during Media Day tomorrow, taking some photos of what we see and find. And if you follow our Twitter page, What Drives Us, you'll be able to see the updates from the show. So either join us or join us on the Twitter feed to see what's going on.
There you go.
I've got a to-do for you, Mark.
Okay.
Rumor has it, or I think it's a done deal, but the Prius V station wagon hybrid has been killed in the U.S. as of this year, but I hear they're keeping it in Canada.
Ah, okay.
Maybe stop by Toyota and ask them, because it's a pretty cool car. It's a little underappreciated, but
so they're killing it off in the U.S., but they may be
because
keeping
they're pushing
it here.
the RAV hybrid, because Americans want SUV crossovers. But everybody who's bought in the Prius V says it's got more room than most SUVs in it. So
right.
Confirm if it's going to be.
I will ask the
still
question
around.
at the Toyota booth.
Yeah,
That'd be cool. Yeah, the V is an awesome car.
it gets no respect, but it's a pretty cool car.
It doesn't, but that station wagon form is fantastic. And yeah,
I had a friend was asking me, "Hey, we need a new car for the family. I've got kids and dogs, and we go camping." I said, "Buy a Prius V." He says, "Oh, I need an SUV." I said, "Buy a Prius V." "Oh, I need an SUV." I said, "Just go look at a Prius V and then decide." And guess what? He bought one.
Yeah. And guess what? It fits everything.
It's perfect for him. It's great mileage. It's got tons of room. But Toyota did a shitty job of marketing it.
How big is the gas tank on the Prius V? Is it
Same like a Prius, like 11, 12 gallons, something like that.
11 or 12 gallons?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a decent car. I mean, check one out if they have them in Canada still.
The longer wheelbase too, and some of the technology they've deployed in that car makes it really nice highway car.
Yeah. It's better visibility than the regular Prius. In Europe, they actually have a third row seat because Europeans are smaller than Americans.
They're just that big.
Jan in the chat room indicates that he says the Prius V's tank is the same size, tiny, but he says it's much more thirsty. Therefore, you get less mileage.
Yes, it does get 40-ish instead of 50-ish.
Yes.
But it's a much bigger car than a regular Prius.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, every other SUV gets like 23 mpg. So
well, that is certainly true.
It's I think that was really the thing. As much as anything else, it was a Prius, but it didn't get that super high Prius mileage. So people were like, "Well, what's wrong with it?" And it's like, it's a bigger car. Don't you get it? It's a much bigger car. But yeah, no.
Well, last time I was up in Vancouver, almost every taxi cab was a Prius V because they could throw tons of people in it, tons of luggage, and just a good platform for that.
Yeah. Oh, the back seat in that thing is enormous, and then you still got the whole hatch thing in the back. It's crazy. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our theme music, and I don't want you to go to CD Baby to buy it. Go to iTunes. Screw CD Baby. Thank you, Michael, for letting me use your music. I got some grudges to.
No kidding.
I'm not angry, folks. Welcome to that.
He's not just angry on this show. He's angry all the time.
All the time. Maybe that should be the title. Screw Baby. Yeah. I gotta write. Okay, maybe. I don't know. I gotta figure that out. So thank you. Visit him at manthing.com. As always, cheers to everybody in the chat room. Thanks for being there. And thanks for suggesting titles and questions and just being there. That's totally awesome. Let's see. You can visit us at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Oddly enough, we're at Twitter at What Drives Us. And of course, my plea for the week, please go to youtube.com/whatdrivesus. Hit the subscribe button. Copy a link. Post it on your Facebook page or on your Twitter page and suggest that
tell your friends.
Go check out the new reviews, please. The LC500, the Lexus GS450, the Genesis G80. There's going to be a Genesis G90 review, which is going to be amazing because it's a trippy car, to say the least. And lots more cool stuff coming up. So
do the manufacturers let you keep these cars when you're done reviewing?
Yeah, I get to.
Yeah, he's got a big warehouse in the back. He's just
I have
storing
like
them.
3 dozen cars in my apartment complex, parked all over the place.
Awesome.
I know, it's so weird. The problem is I can't put gas in them. You know what I mean? It costs me hundreds of dollars. So I get them for literally 1 week, and then they go back, obviously. But you know,
do they at least give you a tank of gas with the car?
They do give me a tank of gas.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, they do give me a tank of gas, which on some cars is fantastic. On other cars, it just
gone.
It evaporated.
Back to the LC500H. I had to put gas in that car.
Wow.
I drove it. And I had to put gas in the G. Well, I almost put gas in the G90. That's another story. 22.9 gallon gas tank. I went to the gas station with the guy who picks it up. It had 22.2. He put 22.2 gallons into it. I was like, oh man, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't think I did that to you. It's only had like 35 miles of range.
That's because you're out at night siphoning the gas out to put it in the
I'm selling it. Hey man, you want to buy a pint of gas?
He's selling it on the weekends. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know that service that goes around and fills up cars at night? That's Russell's business.
I like that idea. That might be a new business model for me. Let's see. So that's all the things. Thanks to all of you who watch, because we do the show for you. Thanks to everyone who listens. Thank you, Paul and Mark, for doing a happy Valentine's Day show. I'm so glad you're lonely, sad, and pathetic men like me, and you're here to share this Valentine's Day with me, to share with everyone out there. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. See ya. And happy Valentine's Day. A little heart thing. Is that? I don't know how to do. There we go. There. Do that.